Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. I have the opportunity to work on a reel I haven't worked on before. This one is by Daiwa. This is a Ryoga, R-Y-O-G-A. It says Bay Jigging, which would mean a inshore jigging. Seems to run smooth enough that way. Seems to cast okay, but then when it comes to re-engaging, to lock it in, this button's not coming back all the way. So you get this stuff going on, and you actually have to lift the button back up to get it to go in all of the way. Well, that obviously is a problem, and we're going to see if we can solve that problem today. And we'll do that as part of this overall service video on how to take apart, clean, service, and repair after diagnosing what the issue is. If you like these kinds of videos, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. If you do subscribe to the channel, please use that notification button. You know, I find it amazing. These videos typically will get thousands of views, and yet only a small portion of the folks that are viewing these are actually subscribed. And well, to me, you know, subscribing is free. Why miss out on the opportunity to see some content that maybe you would find interesting or would be relevant to what it is that you're working on? So I would encourage you to go ahead and subscribe. Again, it doesn't cost you anything. We cover all kinds of fishing reels and the fishing reel and fishing industry, and some tips of the trade and some techniques and some questions from time to time. All kinds of good stuff. Not just about how to take a reel apart and service it. So I would encourage you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I thank you for watching, regardless of whether that's what you wind up doing. Well, we're going to take off the exterior pieces. First thing we did was we removed the little clamp that holds our handle screw in place. Good place to tell you as you start taking off the pieces and parts, have a strategy for what you're going to do with them. I use a parts tray. It's actually the bottom of a fast food container. That parts tray keeps me organized, but make sure you have a way that keeps you organized as you work through your projects. All right, the handle comes off next. Then we can unscrew the star adjuster. That comes off in a counterclockwise manner, and there is a washer on top of this, so make sure that you're aware that that's there. This little guy, and it's a cupped washer, so the cup side is facing down like that on the star adjuster. Take a picture here. It's always encouraging to take those pictures so that you know what the order and sequence of these pieces are should you get distracted and maybe forget. There's two little washers underneath that sit in that bowl, and there's a flat washer on the bottom of it. So all of those washers, these are the two curved washers or tension washers. Then you have your clicker, and then you have a flat washer on the bottom. So take those notes just so that you don't get confused along the way. Well, I was chosen to use Torx screws here, and as always, my hand strength just isn't good enough for that. So I'm going to switch over. Normally, if I get lucky, I can use a Torx screwdriver, which I have, but from time to time, that doesn't going to work. I need some more leverage. So I have a little palm driver. I don't think this is the right one. No. So stick around a moment. We'll get the right number 10 in here, if I can find it. Not yet. We'll get there. I have one of these assortments of... Okay, it took me a minute to find it, but this is actually a hex. It's a hex 2.5, I think. At any rate, this one will fit the screws. And we can take off our side plate. So what I'm expecting to see here is some dried grease, or maybe no grease at all. And that's generally why your buttons can't move back and forth. They just get stuck or impacted. Every now and then you'll find it's broken line, or it's something in that ilk. When I do this, I'm going to take all of those screws out and make sure they're the same size. One of the things that's important to note as you do this. And if you find a screw that's long or short, wider or thinner, what have you, just identify where it came out of so that you can put it back in that same place. Okay, the 3 screws are out. The frame should come off. It's a dry frame. I guess that's kind of what I would have expected. And we can see right here, there's all kinds of dry grease on this lever, and I'm sure that's probably the cause of why this thing is not flipping back and forth easily. There's a simple solution for that. It's called cleaning it up, probably using penetrating oil or something that will help it get there. Take a picture here. This is important to notice. You notice I did take off those 2 springs for the yoke. Take this picture. That picture will tell you what it looked like before you started moving things around. I'm going to remove the main gear set right there. Underneath that gear set we have the click ratchet. I think we can probably pull that off and out of the way. There's a washer that seats underneath the main gear. Then there's the click ratchet that comes off. And now we should be able to get this off. And this is the assembly, and we can tell it's got a lot of grease and dirt in there. Best thing to do is just take a can of penetrating oil and flush it out. That's normally the easiest and most effective way to restore the performance of that reel. Just flood it, work it up and down, get a cotton swab, mop up whatever you might be able to see. Not quite sure how all of that got in there, but it got in there nonetheless. Because the rest of the reel looks dry, I think probably that's something of what happened here. Just got dry. And we're also going to pull up and out on this assembly. We'll just do that a couple more times just to flush it. While I'm doing that, if you have any questions on this reel or any reel, I'll leave those questions in the comment section. I will try to answer those questions for you. Yeah, this just freed right up. You shouldn't have any issue with that. It should just simply pop back. If you want to try that, bring your ratchet down, hold it firm and tip it. Trying it a couple of times. It's doing exactly what it should be doing now. You'll notice it's not stopping halfway. It's returning all the way up top when we do this. So we're in good condition with that. All right, well, that's simple enough. We're just going to let that sit, and we'll continue to service this side of the reel. We'll do that by cleaning up the yoke. There's not much going on with the yoke. Again, I think what's happened here is the reel probably hasn't been serviced in a while. All the greases and the like have dried out, and that just causes it to stick. It becomes kind of a gooey or tar type of a drying rather than just drying clean, and it impedes the progress or the performance of the reel. I'm going to take a bristle brush now and pull through on the teeth of the pinion gear. I use a paper towel underneath. That's to protect the board and also stop it from transferring stuff from one side, one reel to another in my projects. Just going to flip this again a couple of times, make sure that it fires back nice and easy. It does. Now I've used penetrating oil for a cleaner. I'm actually going to use some fishing reel oil now, and just a good amount of that in there. Will restore the lubrication needed on this one. Just kind of pop it back and forth a few more times. We're good. All right. I'm not sure if there's a bearing under here. We can just oil right through the side here Those are generally shielded bearings. This one's turning fine. There's also a slot here where you're going to see the other piece come through. And on the back end of this case, we also have a bearing in here. We want to do a little bit of cleaning on this. Again, it's that same dried content. Almost dried like a film. It's just kind of there. So I use a cotton swab to clean that up. This stem that's sticking out will actually go through here. Kind of will mount into the pinning gear like that. And putting pressure on that will push this in and out and adjust the spool tension. Okay, that's good. It's clean. On your anti-reverse gear on the inside, you do not oil that component. That's a dry running bearing or clutch. You don't want to cause it to slip. Best thing you can do, if you like, you can use some brake cleaner, rubbing alcohol, something that's going to evaporate and flush out, or you can just use a cotton swab here for that purpose. There's another washer here. It's not the washer, it's the sleeve for the anti-reverse clutch. You want to pull that out. Dry that off. Make sure that you don't have the oils and debris on there. Clean up the inside of this. That one can be reinstalled back on the stack. So what do we have so far? We have a pinion gear. Let's take care of that. After you've cleaned it and inspected it, you can put some fresh grease on. I'm using Penn Precision Wheel Grease for this. I recommend that you only use fishing wheel greases and oils when you're doing your fishing wheels. They're designed for marine use, and that's what's important here. When you find your collar for your yoke, there's ramps on the collars right here. Those face inward. You can bring that in, set this down. That's how you install your pinion gear. Nice and tight. As we've previously done, we make sure that this is clean. You have an anti-reverse backup here. It's a finger jointed backup. Bring your click ratchet in, and then you want to separate the forks on this click ratchet, one high, one low, just like that, and that becomes your secondary anti-reverse. We did mention that there's a washer that goes on top of your click ratchet. Bring that down right now. And now we can come over and check out the internals of your main gear. We're looking at the drag washers. The drag washers are Carbon-Tex washers. You do not need to grease them. They have minimal, if no, permeability. And the idea with greases on drag washers is on permeable ones, you want to keep them from drying out. So greases and oils maintain the flexibility and maintain the surfaces so that they don't dry out, become brittle, and break. Those of you that have worked on some vintage reels that maybe had leather washers or cork washers or other fabric type washers know exactly what we're talking about here. Okay, main gear goes back on after you've greased it. And then we have a series of washers here. This has got a lot of max drag in this one. I'm going to lay it out so everybody can see this. We have the traditional 6 washer set. Again, they're Carbon-Tex, so just make sure they're clean. And actually, if you found that they were dirty, you can actually take a bristle brush and just brush whatever excesses, greases, and oils are in there so that you can see the cross hatching. All right, first one goes in. 2 keyed washers that look like this. One looks a little different up top, but this is the bottom one. It's got a somewhat rectangular center. That goes in next. Second of the Carbon-Tex washers goes in. Now we have a 4-pronged eared washer. That goes next. There's 4 slots inside the main gear that they seat in. It looks like this. Here's your top drag washer. And then this one, remember we took the picture, it's got a wide collar to it. This had a little bowl here. That goes with the ball facing up. Put it down, you're going to lose your drag pressure, so let's make sure you do that correct. And then we have the inner sleeve for your anti-reverse. We're almost done with closing this side up. We want to put our yoke springs in. One on each post. Take our side plate. Remember, this goes inside your pinion gear. So bring this over. You probably can't see this. Trying to line that up with the pinion gear so that it goes in correctly. And then you can just bring that down and align the holes. As soon as you get that on, check to make sure your seams are nice and tight. And we can go back to the parts tray, get those 3 screws. Now we noted previously that the screws are all the same size, so it doesn't matter which position you put them back into. Change this throw on your palm driver if you're using one. I like the palm driver because you can hand tighten these screws just by turning the shaft rather than turning the handle. Gives you a little bit more control over the process. So this is an advertisement for why you should service your reels regularly. Greases and oils do dry out, and when they dry out, well, they become problematic. Okay, so we spent a good amount of time trying to figure out why this would not trip. That was the goal here. We're about to reassemble the outer side plate then. We start with that bearing. That'll sit in the case. A little bit of oil on that. Then our flat washer. Then our noisemaker. Then we have the 2 curved bearings. The first one I face with the curve up. Second one curved down. And we can bring over our star adjuster. We'll be ready to kind of give this a test, see how we did. You want to make sure on your star adjuster that it's threading evenly. If you notice any resistance at all, stop. You may have it cross-threaded. And if you have it cross-threaded, you're going to strip the post or the star adjuster or both. I just had somebody just send me a note asking me where they could find a replacement gear shaft, because that's exactly what they did. They got it all messed up. That's a question I was able to answer, but don't enjoy answering. Okay. With that cup on, our handle can go on next. Our handle nut, and we'll be able to see if we were able to fix this issue. Tighten it down. Grab our wrench. Make sure that your star adjuster is tightened down so that it doesn't trap the handle when you're tightening. And generally speaking, if you can get the handle screw point to point at that hole, then your mounting bracket should fit right on. There you go, proper alignment. So one more piece here, it's that little screw. Me and little screws have a hard enough time, and in this case, this one's got a rather unusual little slot in it. It's a JIS, I guess, is the screw. Most of the time you can get away with a basic flat blade screwdriver. And, well, let's see. Okay, so when this reel came in, it came in because the button only partially tripped, which didn't allow the yoke to come all the way back in with the pinion gear and engage the spool. So let's see how we did with the cleanup. We used that WD-40. We mopped it up with some cotton swabs. We re-oiled it. Let's see how we did. Let's push down first. Let's make sure that it spins nicely, which it does. And let's go for the trip. Right back up. Smooth as glass. There you go. So that's it. This is a story where lack of service led to grease drying. The grease drying affected the trip button. Most of the time, if you have a reel that has a click button return issue. That's what you're going to find is the primary cause. The primary cause is almost directly related to something impeding its progress back up and in. Sometimes it happens to be the side channels here that have the grease. Most of the time it's internal to the reel, and internally, if you just clean up that trip mechanism like we did here, you'll have worry-free fishing for a long time to come. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. Before I leave, I want to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, rescue, EMT, everybody involved in keeping us out of harm's way. I want to thank you, the viewers, for watching. I want to encourage you to ask the questions and, of course, to subscribe if you have yet to subscribe. And I want to thank everybody for making this channel what it is. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day.